We're fortunate to have you with us, so please continue.
Hare Krishna, dear Krishna Namananda Prabhu. Thank you for kindly having me here on this call. That website, I think somebody made it. I don't think that is still active. So fortunately, that is not working and that has been pulled down. So there is no website as such. So Krishna devotees
You can refer to your Facebook page, I guess, then.
They can refer to Prabhupada's books instead. That is the source of all nectar. Actually, during the lockdown time, we should read as much as possible. The more I read Prabhupada's books, the more wonderful insight I receive. Although we may have read that same section before, some points strike which have never come to the mind before. It's almost like when you read Canto 1, Canto 2, Canto 3, and then Canto 12, and then you read Canto 1 again, it's almost like 13th Canto, because you've read through 12 cantos, and now when you read the first time when we read first canto, we don't have base of Bhagavatam. But after reading Bhagavatam, we read first canto, then newer things, newer meanings, and newer connections in that purport start coming up. Then when we read other sections of Chaitanya Charitamrita and again come back to first canto, then now the mind starts connecting to Chaitanya Leela also. So that one sentence of Prabhupada can have parallel and unlimited layers of meaning, which more we read and more sincerely we try, I'm sure those who are senior Vaishnavas, they gain so much from Prabhupada's books. If someone like me is benefiting so much from Prabhupada's books, I think everybody should read. So instead of visiting any website or anything, human life, human time, ayu harati vaipum sam udhyam astam chayana sau tasyarthe yat kshano nita uttama shloka vartaya. This human time should be, I request all the devotees, don't visit any website of mine or anything, or Facebook or anything. You just visit Prabhupada's books. That will be the success of our lives. The Acharya who crossed the ocean for us in the age of Kali Yuga to give us such exalted fortune. Now Julan Yatra is going on. Who swings Radha and Krishna is a question. Who swings Radha and Krishna? People in heaven don't swing Radha and Krishna. People in Vaikuntha don't swing Radha and Krishna. People in Ayodhya don't swing Radha and Krishna. People in Dwarka and Mathura don't swing Radha and Krishna. We'll say, well, people in Vrindavan swing Radha and Krishna. Not quite, because the friends of Krishna don't swing Radha and Krishna. Just for the case of decorum of the discussion, I request all the devotees to kindly mute your mics, and then we can unmute during the questions and answers. So not everyone in Vrindavan swings Radha and Krishna. The friends don't swing Radha and Krishna. Mother Yashoda doesn't swing Radha and Krishna. But only the gopis in Madhuri Rasa, they get the fortune of swinging Radha and Krishna. And look at us with lust and anger and greed and materialistic conditioning and attachment to body and senses and sense objects. Prabhupada has given us Julan Yatra. So this is the gift of the Acharya. He pulls down that realm into our reality. So this human form, especially this lockdown situation, this COVID pandemic time, we should go deeper into the books. We should study for hours and hours. Actually, in the folio also, please forgive me, this is not the topic of today's discussion, but I am just speaking from my heart. So I hope that is fine. Krishna Namananda Prabhu, is that okay?
Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Yes.
Okay. So actually, even in the folio, we can see the transcriptions of Prabhupada's classes are present. We can find all of Prabhupada's classes there. So that also should be studied very nicely. We can pick so many examples from Prabhupada's classes. Like, for example, the other day I was hearing one class Prabhupada has given in 1975. And there, just to make one point, Prabhupada gives 5 examples in different paragraphs of that same class. So we should study Prabhupada's books and study Prabhupada's classes also. If not through hearing, which is of course wonderful because the voice of a pure Vaishnava enters the consciousness. But at least depending on the time that we have from the folio, the transcription that we have, we should try to highlight all the examples that Prabhupada has given. So that for us to make one point, we can have multiple examples. Then when we are preaching and we are making a point, we can say, Prabhupada said this. Prabhupada in that lecture said this. Prabhupada in that book said this. So in that way, we can be Prabhupada Anuga first and Rupa Anuga later. So this is just a point to start with. I know our Krishna Ramananda Prabhu is very, very attached to the lotus feet of Prabhupada. And I feel very fortunate. Every time I think of Prabhuji, I remember the interactions we had in Prabhuji's humble abode, where we discussed so much about Prabhupada's books and different verses of Bhishma Stuti. So thank you so much, Prabhuji, for having me. I feel very fortunate to serve you this evening. And thank you, dear Madhupati Prabhu and the management of the ISKCON Central New Jersey Temple for kindly giving me this opportunity for addressing the devotees on a very beautiful section of the 10th canto this evening, continuing from last week. But I know there are some who have joined us who weren't there last time. So I'll quickly recap also towards the end of what we have done so that everyone is on the same page. So having said that, let us begin today's discussion. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Teshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram. So in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a very beautiful section in the Dwaraka pastimes of Krishna. Very specifically after chapter 50, we see the mention of Rukmini Devi and her absorption in devotional service to Krishna, and how Krishna very lovingly reciprocates to her intense call. Rukmini Devi falls in love with Krishna without even having a darshan of Krishna, even without glancing at Krishna, without having any direct sakshat anubhuti, direct experiential vision of Krishna's personality and form. But however, as Brahma mentions, we don't have to see Krishna. Brahma uses a term in the Bhagavatam called as Shruta Ikshanam or Shrute Kshanam. Shruta means ear and hearing, and Ikshanam means to see. So Brahma says we don't see with our eye, but we see with our ear. Someone will think, what is this? This doesn't make any logical sense, because we hear with our ear and we see with our eye. But Brahma says Shrute Kshanam, which means we hear, we Ikshanam, we see with our ear, which means between the eye and the ear is more important in the path of bhakti. Even deities, we may come and see the deities with our eyes, but till the time we don't hear about Krishna with our ear, we will not be able to have factual, proper darshan of the deities. We may come with our lump of flesh, our eyes, we may come and we may glance at the deities. But then, is that actual darshanam? Is that the actual way to receive the grace of the Lord? We may see some statue, we may see some wood, we may see some stone, but we are not seeing the deity. We are seeing just temporary manifestations of material elements. We are not seeing the actual presence. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, we see pastimes like Sakshi Gopal. We see pastimes like Gopal of Madhavendra Puri. We see pastimes like Kshirachora Gopinath of Madhavendra Puri. We see so many pastimes in Shastra where the deities are actually reciprocating with the devotee. In Mayapur, Narasimhadev in Mayapur, His Grace Pankajangri Prabhu explains so many experiential, real life reciprocations with the deity. Like he mentions about the halogen light that was installed in front of Narasimhadev in Mayapur. And Narasimhadev is a dark black stone deity. So it looked very nice, that halogen light. But Pankajangri Prabhu mentions that Narasimhadev, he appeared in the dream and he said that don't switch that light on before waking me up, because that comes into my eye. It's very sharp and very bright. So you wake me up and give me some time and then you switch it on, like that. So reciprocations with the deities is found with devotees who are properly situated in devotion, who have proper vision of the deities. Otherwise, we're just going to see some material. We will give different names: Radha Madan Mohan, Radha Sham Sundar, Radha Govind, Radha Madhav, etc. But are we actually seeing Krishna? Pratima nahi, tumi sakshat Brajendra Nandan. The deity is not some representation. The deity is actual Krishna, actual Radharani, actual Krishna Balaram, actual Gaur Nitai. But this darshanam cannot be done through the eyes. It must be done through the ear. The word darshanam, apart from meaning to have, the audience of the Supreme Lord or to see the Supreme Lord, the word darshanam or darshan also means philosophy. We know there are 6 shad darshana, which means 6 schools of classical philosophy in the Vedic field, in the Vedic understanding. So darshan, shad darshan. Shad means 6 and darshan means philosophical paths. So darshan, which means vision, darshan also means philosophy. So when we say that, am I having actual darshan of Krishna, which apart from meaning actual vision of Krishna, actual glancing on Krishna, that also means, am I having the right philosophical understanding, darshan, about Krishna? Am I having the proper understanding? Like, for example, you can give an X-ray report to someone like me, who has no clue of medicine, who hasn't gone to a medical school. If you give an engineer an X-ray, he will just see some image, but he will not be able to decipher anything. He will not be able to understand anything. I will not be able to understand. You give me all these different medical, even let's say blood reports and different reports. You just give me the numbers. I have no clue, right? Just by looking at the number, I don't know what the minimum is, what is the window, the range, etc. for different parameters, body, biological parameters. And for any X-ray, any chest X-ray, whatever it may be, you can show me the report and I will just see some bone, etc. But I'm not going to be able to understand anything. It's just going to be some image for me. But that same thing, you give it to a doctor who's well versed in that field, he will be able to say so much. So what is the understanding here? It's not the eye which is glancing. The eye is the same for me and for the doctor. But it is the years and years of hearing and learning the philosophical aspect, the background technical aspect of reading that specific report. Then with that understanding, when the eyes are glancing, then there is proper decipherence, there is proper decoding, there's proper understanding of that specific document. Similarly, when we hear about Krishna, we continuously hear about Krishna for years and years and years. Then with that philosophical mindset, that viewpoint, when we glance at Krishna, the deity, then there is proper darshanam. Darshanam no didrikshunam dehi bhagavatarchitam. Very beautiful. Sarvendriya gunanjanam. So beautiful. In the 4th canto, it has been described. Darshanam no didrikshunam dehi bhagavatarchitam. Please give us darshan of that form, which is very, very dear to the devotees. Very, very dear. Rupam Priyatamam Swanam Sarvendriya Gunanjanam. This form is very dear to the devotees. Please reveal yourself before us. So then by hearing the darshan, the philosophy, the technical understanding, then when we glance at Krishna, the deity form, then we get to know something, at least something. When we look at the fingernails, the toenails, the lotus feet, then we will remember These are the same lotus feet that Vaman Dev placed on Bali Maharaj. These are the same lotus feet which were danced on the hoods of Kaliya. These are the same lotus feet which are praised by Akrura. These are the same lotus feet that is running behind cows in Vrindavan. These are the same lotus feet, and so forth. So just by looking at the lotus feet of Krishna on the basis of what we have heard and read, we can just glance at the lotus feet for such a long time. Bilva Mangala Thakur says, looking at Krishna's beautiful feet, lotus feet, the moon is so embarrassed that he splits himself into 20 portions, 20 parts, and then he combines as the toenails and the fingernails for Krishna. 10 at the feet and 10 on the hands. So that's 20 portions of the moon who's completely shy and embarrassed in front of Krishna's beauty. So when we hear these verses and these purports, when we look at Krishna's toenail, Krishna's lotus feet, we look at Krishna's hips and why they are bent. Then we look at Krishna's hands. Then we look at Krishna's flute. And then we can go on into Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu about Venu Madhuri. How this flute is Tri Jagan Manas Akarishi. It can attract the minds of everyone in the three worlds. Then those arms, when we look at Krishna's arms, those are the same arms which embrace Sudama. Those are the same arms which with Krishna held the reins, the horses and the chariot of Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. With those same arms, Krishna battled so many demons and also lifted Giriraj. So many things, so many perspectives. Now, without all of that hearing and reading, we just look at Krishna, the deity form. What are we going to gain? It's just going to be eye exercise that Prabhupada Saraswati Thakur called it. Just the opening and closing of the eyes. But by hearing about Krishna through the ear, then we can have proper darshan. So this is the proper way of taking darshan of Krishna. So here Rukmini Devi, she had never seen Krishna with her eyes. But just by hearing about Krishna, Brahman Krishna Katha Punya Madhvi Loka Malapaha Konu Tripyete Shrunvana Shrutadnya Nityanutana. Just by hearing about Krishna repeatedly, the pure, sweet Hari Katha from the lips of those who have love for Krishna. We should never hear Hari Katha from someone who's just doing it for namesake, for duty, or to get something out of it. Like, for example, the heart is empty. The heart is empty, devoid of devotion. But just we put a show. We speak in a certain way. We bring in the lingo in our vocabulary. And we say a few pastimes and we impress the audience. And that will impress the audience, but that will not inspire the audience. That will not help us grow in devotion. If we don't have something in our heart, we can't instill it. We can't, induce that. If we can imbibe it from our superior, we can induce it into the audience. Like someone on the stage of a dramatic performance is acting like a Hare Krishna devotee and is speaking some Bhagavatam. You're not going to take him so seriously. Why? Because he's doing that for some time. But then, and that too, he's doing it for the money because he's just a professional actor. He's playing a Hare Krishna with a shika and kanti and tilak, etc. And he's just speaking some philosophy as part of his script. He doesn't follow it. And he doesn't believe in it, maybe. But he's just saying it because by doing that, he's going to get his money. He's going to get his money for that script. So then when he gets down, we may tell him that, oh, that was a very beautiful portrayal or very nice depiction on the stage. But you're not going to take his Harikatha so seriously because he's not saying it. He's not saying something that is coming from his heart. But when we hear from the lips of a sadhu who's living all his life with unflinching faith and devotional love at the lotus feet of Krishna, and just hearing that it'll be like a javelin. It'll be like an empowerment. It'll be like a thunderbolt of empowerment into the heart of the listener. The Harikatha will come from the lips of the sadhu and enter through the ear of the listener. And tasmin mahan mukharita madhuvish charitram. The realization that is there in the heart of a very great soul, of a sadhu, that mukharitam, that is transformed in the form of words and gets into the ear of the listener and gets retransformed back into those realizations that the speaker is having in his heart, in the heart of the listener. So in this way, in the 10th canto, Rukmini Devi teaches us that even without seeing Krishna, just by hearing the sweet Harikatha from great souls, she fell in love with Krishna. People oftentimes ask this question: how can we serve Krishna? How can we fall in love with Krishna? How can we be devotionally, favorably disposed towards Krishna without even having the opportunity to see him? Well, Duryodhan could see Krishna, Shishupal could see Krishna, Kamsa could see Krishna, but they did not have that devotional spirit. They had Krishna, but they did not have Krishna Prem, which brings in the vision, proper vision to see Krishna. So to know him, we have to love him first. And to love him, we must know him first. So first it starts with the ear. We hear and hear and hear from great souls. And when we hear enough, then we get to know him. When we know him, we love him by service. And then when we love him through service, then he reveals himself. And that form is the actual experiential manifestation of Krishna's personality. So Rukmini Devi heard this. Just by the ear, she fell in love with Krishna. And she wrote a very beautiful letter with 7 verses. In one of those verses, she speaks about different qualities of Krishna. We started off with that verse last time. I wouldn't repeat all of the things that we mentioned last time, but in the interest of time, I would go ahead and speak the other qualities, and then towards the end, just briefly mention what we did last time. So Rukmini in that letter writes to Krishna in utter desperation, because as we know, Rukmini's brother Rukmi and Rukmini's father Bhishmaka, they have decided to give the hand of Rukmini in marriage to Shishupal. And Shishupal and Rukmi are best of friends, so everything is perfect. But Rukmini does not want to get married to Shishupal. She has given her heart to Krishna. Rukmini is in Kaudinyapur, and that is in Maharashtra. And Krishna is ruling Dwarka, that is in the present-day Gujarat. Rukmini writes this letter to Krishna through the hands of a Brahmana. The Brahmana goes by foot, reaches Dwarka, gives the letter to Krishna. Krishna gives it back to the Brahmana and says, you read it. Rukmini has trusted you, I trust you, you read it. And then the Brahmana reads 7 verses of surrender of Rukmini to Krishna. And Krishna immediately, he agrees to accept that mood of surrender of Rukmini, gets on the chariot, puts the Brahmana on board, and then overnight with charioteer Daruka, Krishna drives from Dwarka to Kaudinyapur. And early in the morning on the day of Rukmini's wedding, which was the next day after what she had written, in complete surrender and without any ray of light of hope, Krishna reached there. And as we know the story, Krishna, in the presence of Shishupal, he kidnapped Rukmini. And it is described just like the lion takes away the deer as his rightful claim, please forgive me, takes the deer amidst the pack of jackals and wolves and hyenas and fox. Similarly, Krishna came and took Rukmini on his chariot amidst the assembly of all demons. So these 7 verses of Rukmini's prayers we can memorize, or we can, at least with our books, Srimad Bhagavatam, we can chant them every day. I believe that is in Canto 10, chapter 52. You can see, I think it's from verse 37, 7 verses in there. So we can read that. At least before Janmashtami, we can try to offer Krishna these 7 verses of Rukmini. So in one of those verses, she describes Krishna's different qualities. So one quality that she mentions is Krishna's knowledge, Vidya. It's worth contemplating on Krishna's knowledgeable, the potency of intellect. Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita, and that is undoubtedly the most popular, universally accepted philosophical text. And it wasn't that Krishna memorized it, he planned it, he rehearsed it. It was just a spontaneous, casual question-answer discussion with his friend. And that came out to be the greatest philosophical text. That happened to be God's own song of love. That is Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavat means Bhagavan and Gita means song. So imagine if God pre-planned and rehearsed and memorized and spoke, what would it be? If a casual discussion on the spur of the moment can become one of the most popular, universally accepted philosophical text of the Eastern wisdom philosophical text, then what to speak of Krishna's intelligence, Krishna's intellect. All the great acharyas have proven their position and expressed their philosophy by first writing a commentary on the Bhagavad Gita. Speak about Madhvacharya, Ramanujacharya, Adi Shankaracharya. Everyone has written their commentaries on the Bhagavad Gita. So casual discussions between Krishna and Arjuna, his friend, becomes the central basis of all philosophical understanding. And then all the commentaries decorate and flavor this discussion. So this is the first point as far as Krishna's knowledge is concerned. Somebody's mic is not on mute. With all honesty, I would like to say, let us maintain the decorum of the discussion, because so many devotees are joining in. So we should take care of that. Maybe the admin next time can take care so that all the mics are on mute, so that there's no interruption in the Krishna Katha. We were mentioning about Krishna's intelligence. So this is the first point about Krishna's intelligence, that is as far as Bhagavad Gita is concerned. The second point, second example as far as Krishna's unparalleled intelligence is, Krishna learnt 64 arts from his guru or from his teacher, Sandipani Muni, in Avanti, or the present day Ujjain. He learnt that in 64 days. Now 64 arts, even one of those arts is very difficult to master in one life. Like if you have to learn how to play sitar, you ask one of the biggest musicians who play sitar, or let's say flute, you ask Pandit Hari Prasad Chaurasia, he gave all his life just for that one instrument. But Krishna took the whole art of music in one day, finished, expertise. During the daytime, he heard the philosophical, technical understanding, and at night time, he practiced. In 24 hours, one art he has expertly conquered, and he has excelled in that. And in this way, in 64 days, Krishna learned 64 arts and he returned home. So that could be the fastest graduation ever. So that is Krishna's intelligence. Therefore, Krishna says, Buddhir buddhir matamasmi, tejas tejas vinamaham. In the Bhagavad Gita, he says, among the people who are intelligent, I am their intelligence. This is the second example. The third example in this regard about Krishna's intelligence and Krishna's Vidya Shakti is all knowledgeable, all cognizant potency, omniscient potency, is the fact that when Krishna appeared in the prison house of Vasudeva and Devaki, generally children, when they appear, they are born in this world, we see that they are crying and they are helpless. But Krishna appears in the prison house of Devaki and Vasudeva, and first thing he speaks is the past 3 lives of his parents. He says, you were actually Prishni and Sutapa, and I appeared as Prishni Garbha. And then you were Aditi and Kashyapa. I appeared as Vamana. And now you're Devaki and Vasudeva, and I've appeared as Vasudeva Krishna. So which child in creation, just after appearance in a prison house in the middle of the night, speaks to his parents about his potency, his position, and their 3 past lives? So this is Krishna's Vidya. Krishna knows everything. This is why we are confident that all of the chanting and hearing that we do, Krishna, he is observing. Krishna is not just running behind cows in Vrindavan and playing his flute, but at the same time, he is present in every atom. Andantarastha paramanu chayantarastham. And therefore, Krishna is aware of who's chanting and who's not chanting, who's chanting and who's just holding a bead bag but not chanting. Krishna knows everything. So this is his Vidya Shakti. Then Rukmini talks about Krishna's Virya Shakti, which means Krishna's potency, Krishna's strength. We know Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Yashashasriya. These are the 6, Jnana and Vairagyam. Parashara Muni in the Vishnu Puran speaks about the 6 opulences of Bhagavan. And he says, he who is Aishwaryasya, Samagrasya, Viryasya, Yashashasriya, Jnana and Vairagyam. 6 things. Samagrasya, completely. What are the six things? Aishwarya, Virya, Yasha, Shriya, Jnana, and Vairagyam, which means he is all wealthy, all beautiful, all strong, all famous, all knowledgeable, and Vairagyam, all renounced, the renunciation aspect. So Krishna is, Bhagavan is he who is full in all these six things. And Krishna, who's been glorified by Rukmini and acknowledged for his all-knowing potency, Vidya, is now glorified for his Virya Shakti, for his all-powerful presence. We know when Krishna was the charioteer for Arjuna, Saratya Parashada Sevana Sakya Dautya, Veerasananu Stavana Pranaman, Snigdeshu Pandushu Jagat Pranatim Cha Vishnu, Bhaktim Kurutin Nrupatish Charana Aravinde. That Krishna personally became the charioteer for Arjuna. Vipra kahe murkha ami artha nahi jani, Shuddha Ashuddha Gita Padi Guru Agyamani. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met the Brahmana, who did not even know how to read the Bhagavad Gita, he said, my Guru has told me to read, therefore I'm sometimes reading properly, sometimes not reading properly, because I don't know what is right and what is wrong. But however, he was crying because Krishna, as the all-merciful Lord, has become the chariot driver for Arjuna. So that same Krishna, when he was driving the chariot for Arjuna, the Mahabharata describes that Karna actually shot a Nagastra to kill Arjuna. When he shot that serpent astra, Nagastra, towards Arjuna, and Arjuna was not aware of it, Krishna saw it. And what did Krishna do? He quickly pushed the chariot an inch into the ground. 1 inch into the ground. So as a result of which, what happened? The Navaratna crown of Arjuna, bedecked with different kinds of jewels, it was struck by the Nagastra, and that crown fell to the ground. So Arjuna started telling Krishna, what is this? Karna's Nagastra has hit my Navaratna crown and it has fallen to the ground. What will people say now? Krishna looked at Arjuna and he said, do you realize I kicked the chariot 1 inch down? You're worried about losing your crown. People would have laughed that you have lost your head. But because that chariot was pushed down, instead of losing your head, you just lost your crown. This was the power of Krishna. To protect his devotee, with one kick, he could put the whole chariot down. We can't do that. We struggle sometimes even to put and to remove our own shoelace with our own hands. It's very difficult. Sometimes it gets complicated and we find it difficult with our hands. But Krishna, with his hands and with his lotus feet, could push the chariot an inch down and protect his devotee. That is the first example as far as Krishna's virya is concerned, Krishna's power potency is concerned. The second example, as far as Krishna's strength is concerned, is the fact that the story of Jayadratha, again in the Mahabharata. Arjuna had taken this vrat, this promise that before the sun is down, I will kill Jayadratha. And if I don't kill Jayadratha, I will jump into fire and die myself. I will kill myself if I don't kill Jayadratha by sunset. So what happened? Duryodhan and his camp, they hid Jayadratha so that the sun will be down and Arjuna will not get Jayadratha, and then he will naturally jump into fire and they will say, actually, Arjuna killed himself. We didn't do anything. And Krishna knew this. So the sun was almost dipping and setting and Jayadratha was not out. They had kept Jayadratha hiding. So what did Krishna do? Krishna, with his Sudarshan Chakra, he eclipsed the sun. And it seemed as if there was no sun, which means the sun had set. It was dark. So Duryodhana and others, they got Jayadratha out. And when Jayadratha came out, they started dancing that, yes, now Arjuna has to die because it's been sundown and Arjuna could not kill me. So what did Krishna do? Krishna told Arjuna, kill him, kill Jayadratha. Arjuna said, I can't do this because it's already sundown. I can't do this. I can't kill. Krishna said, just listen to me and kill Jayadratha. And Arjuna followed Krishna's order. Now Duryodhana and others, they were all infuriated. They were furious that how could Krishna and Arjuna break the rules of moral conduct and the decorum, the discipline, the rules of fighting this battle, that you don't kill your opposing party after sunset or before sunrise. You kill them between sunrise and sunset after the blowing of the conch shell. But after the sunset, everyone, they're together, they're friends. But how is it that you could do this? Arjuna said, I just followed Krishna. They came to Krishna and said, how could you break dharma like that? Krishna said, no, I didn't. And he removed the Sudarshan Chakra, which was eclipsing the sun, and the sun was still up there. It's still up there. So Krishna just told him, I eclipsed the sun. So you felt it was sundown, it was sunset. When you can cheat by hiding Jayadratha, why can't I transcendently cheat by eclipsing and covering the sun? So when he removed it, he showed that actually the sun was still up there, and they made a mistake by putting Jayadratha out. There's no mistake from Arjuna's side in shooting and following Krishna's instruction. So Krishna is so powerful, not just helping Arjuna from Karna. He could also protect Arjuna from jumping into fire by eclipsing the sun. If Krishna can eclipse the sun, can't Krishna eclipse all of our anarthas and our aparad and all our faults and our shortcomings? If Krishna can protect Arjuna from the Nagastra of Karna, can't Krishna protect us from the karmic reactions? In fact, when the Nagastra hit Arjuna's Navaratna crown and it fell, Karna was sad that it didn't hit the head. So the Nagastra came back and told Karna, came back, and Karna put him back, saying that you're useless, you didn't hit the target. Nagastra said, well, Krishna kicked the chariot down, just take me out one more time and now I will hit the target. And Karna said, I don't need your help to kill Arjuna, I can kill myself. So Krishna chuckled and smiled and told Arjuna, first time you were protected by me, and now you're being protected by Karna's false ego. So this is Krishna's power potency. He can protect Arjuna by putting the chariot down, and at the same time, Krishna can protect Arjuna by eclipsing the sun with his Sudarshan Chakra. Krishna is so powerful that he charged with a half-broken chariot wheel towards Bhishma Dev, again to protect Arjuna. Look how much Krishna loves his devotees. Krishna had promised that you can take me or my Narayan Sena. The thing is, you can take not both of them, but either of them. And the condition is they are multiple. That's a Sena, but I am all by myself. And my condition is I will not fight. So Duryodhana naturally picked the army, and Krishna naturally picked Arjuna naturally picked Krishna. And now, because Arjuna picked Krishna and he trusted Krishna, Krishna had told Arjuna that you have picked me, but I am not going to fight. I'm not going to pick up weapons. But however, Krishna broke his own promise. He broke his own promise of not picking up weapons to protect Arjuna from Bhishma Dev. Prabhupada in one purport writes that Bhishma Dev was 25,000 times more powerful than Arjuna. But Krishna could fight that Bhishma Dev with a half-broken wheel, chariot wheel. Just think about it. How powerful is Bhishma Dev? And Krishna could charge with a half-broken chariot wheel in front of such a great Sahasrarathi or Maharathi, such a great personality, great warrior, great fighter. So much so that Bhishma Dev loved Krishna and respected Krishna so much that when Bhishma Dev was on his departure bed, the only person whom he was waiting for was Krishna. And when Krishna appeared in front of Bhishma Dev said, Dhyausa Chandrarka Nakshatra Kham Disha Bhu Mahodadhi Vasudevasya Viryena Vidrutani Mahatmana Sasurasura Gandharva Sa Yaksha Uragarakshasam Jagat Vashe Sarvamidam Krishnasya Sacharachara. He mentioned, Bhishma Dev said that the stars, the sky, the planets, the cosmic creation, the mountains, the oceans, the living and the non-living, the demigods and the demons, all of these species, all the moving and non-moving, the animate and inanimate, they're all under the control of one person, and that Vasudev Sri Krishna is present in front of me. Think about it. If Krishna was not so strong, why would Bhishma Dev on his departure bed respect and wait for Krishna so much? So this is the third point. We first mentioned about protecting Arjuna from Karna. Then we spoke about protecting Arjuna from Jayadratha and Duryodhana. Then protecting Arjuna from Bhishma Dev. And fourth point, Krishna in his other incarnations also, so much virya, so much strength. With the tip of his fingernails, he could tear open Hiranyakashipu. That Hiranyakashipu whom 33 crore demigods, 330 million demigods put together could not conquer. They were all cutting vegetables in his kitchen. That's how much scared they were of Hiranyakashipu. But 33 crore demigods, they could not put that Hiranyakashipu down. They couldn't even come close to him. And that Hiranyakashipu was torn into pieces just by the tip of the fingernails of Narasimhadev, which means the tip of the fingernails of God, of Krishna, is way more powerful than the 330 million demigods put together. In his incarnation as Ramachandra, how powerful is he? He destroyed 14,000 Rakshasas in like an hour. Sangrama Jita Karadushanam. Sri Ramachandra, standing on his feet with just bow and arrow in his hand, got in a mountain of skeletons of demons. Also, as Ramachandra, he prayed to the ocean to give way. But when the ocean did not give way, Ramchandra just glanced, and by his glance, the whole ocean started boiling. And Varunadev came out and told Ramachandra, oh, you were performing human-like pastimes. This is why I did not give way, because I don't give way to any human being. But my Lord, if you're going to glance like the Supreme Lord, then I come as your servant. So Ram's potency is such that through his glance, he can boil the whole ocean. The whole ocean was boiling. This is Virya Shakti of Bhagavan. When we glance, we can't even boil the water in a glass. What to speak of an ocean? But Ram, when he glances, the whole ocean is boiling. So these were the 4 examples as far as Virya is concerned, strength is concerned. We gave 3 examples for Vidya. We gave 4 examples for Krishna's strength that Rukmini mentions. And now the third quality that Rukmini mentions about is Krishna's Vayas. Vayas means Krishna's youth. Krishna's the youth, the young nature of Krishna's personality. We all know that Prabhupada always wanted Krishna to be depicted young. The initial painters, they painted Krishna, with a white beard, the first painting. And Prabhupada said, what is this? This is nonsense. God is never like this. He's Adyam Purana Purusham. He's the oldest, but Navayovanamcha. He's the youngest personality. Krishna is the oldest, yet he's the youngest. He doesn't grow beyond 16. That is Nitya Yauvana. He doesn't touch middle age. He's always 16 years old. Even when Krishna is the charioteer for Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, he has grandchildren and great-grandchildren at that time. He's almost 100 years old. Because at the age of 11, Krishna left Vrindavan to go to Mathura. At the age of 28, he left Mathura to go to Dwarka, and he ruled there for about 100 years. So Krishna was, according to the calculation, about 100 years old when he was the charioteer for Arjuna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. He had great-grandchildren, but look, Krishna looks like a 16-year-old young boy. This is Vayas. This is Krishna's youth. In fact, Krishna had the Sudharma Sabha, the assembly hall, where he would take different complaints and different aspects of discussions for different members of the citizens of the society. And they could come in and speak their heart out to Krishna. The Sudharma Sabha, the assembly hall of Krishna as Dwarkadish, was designed in such a way that anyone who enters this Sudharma Sabha, this assembly hall, they will not be touched by age, which means time. They will not be touched by hunger. They will not be touched by thirst. They will not be touched by sleep. They will not even be touched by heat or cold. They will not even come out with a drop of sweat on their forehead, which means Krishna had designed the Sudharma Sabha in such a way that whoever comes in that assembly hall, and how many ever hours or days or weeks it takes to explain his case and speak to Krishna, time should not act on him at that time. He should not feel hungry and thirsty and sleepy and tired and hot and cold there that he is not able to speak his heart out. This was Krishna's arrangement in the Sudharma Sabha for everyone's welcome and for everyone's service. So if the Sudharma Sabha, the assembly hall of Dwarkadish, is conditioned, designed in such a way, intellectually fine-tuned in such a way that anyone who enters doesn't get aged. What to speak of Krishna, who's the orchestrator of the whole thing. So Vayas is another quality that Rukmini speaks about. She says, you're very intelligent. You please find an intelligent plan how you can kidnap me before I get married to Shishupal. Not just Vidya or Buddhi, you're also having Virya Shakti, which means you have the power potency to do it. You can come and personally do it. You have the intelligence and you have the strength, the buddhi and the shakti. And most importantly, you are marriageable, you're young, vayas, you're ever youthful. Vachasa, vayasa, and vasasa, vasasa, vachasa, and vayasa. These are the three ways by which Krishna looks beautiful: by his clothing, by his speech, and by his youthful innocence in his body, in his face, in his eyes, in his smile, etc. Another quality of Krishna that Rukmini speaks about is Krishna's karuna, Krishna's mercy. Krishna is so merciful. Kwaham daridra papiyan, kwa Krishna Shri Niketanaha, Brahma Bandhu iti smaham, bahubhyam parirambita. When the word Sudama came into the ears of Krishna, Krishna went running out and he embraced Sudama to his heart. And later on, Sudama is reflecting. He's saying, who am I? Kwaham daridra papiyan. I am sinful and I am poverty stricken. And kwa Krishna Sri Niketana. And who is Krishna? He is the goddess of fortune. And I am not even a Brahmana, Brahma Bandhu, which means I have friendship with Brahmanas. But I am abominable. Brahma Bandhu iti smaham. Still, bahubhyam parirambitah. He embraced me with the same hands which with he has embraced Balaram as a child. He's putting me and Balaram on the same result of embracing. He's giving himself, he's giving the warmth of his chest and his embrace to me. This is Krishna's mercy. Tathaiva chanye naraloka vira ya ahave Krishna mukhara vindam netre pibantyo nayana bhirama parthastra puta padamapurasya. That when Arjuna would shoot arrows, it is described in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam that the Pandavas were more fortunate or the Kauravas were more fortunate. And the answer given is the Kauravas were more fortunate because the Pandavas had Krishna on their side, but they could only see Krishna's back. But the Kauravas were so fortunate that netre pibantyo nayana bhirama, through the pots of their eyes, they could drink the nectar of Krishna's beautiful smiling face. And being attracted to Krishna, they were now eligible for liberation. So Partha Astra Puta Padamapurasya. Partha is Arjuna, Astra means arrow, and Puta means purity. Parthastra Puta, when Arjuna would shoot his arrow, the arrow would go and touch the chest of the Kaurava, and Puta immediately purify them and Padamapurasya and give them mukti, give them Vaikunthavas, Paramam Padam. So imagine if Arjuna by killing can purify someone and give them liberation. What can Krishna do by killing? And what can Krishna do by his embrace and by his affection? Unparalleled. In this world, we cannot even do good to someone by keeping them alive. And here is Krishna killing Putana and making her the eternal nurse. He is doing good to that person even by killing that person. What to speak of reciprocating when that person is on the planet? So beautifully the Bhagavatam has described Aho bakiyam stanakala kutam jigamsaya paya yadapya sadvi lebhe gatim dhatri muchitam tatonyam kamva dayalum sharanam vrajema. Who is more merciful than that Krishna who can give nectar to that Putana who came to give poison? So this is Krishna's Karuna Shakti. He is therefore called Karuna Sindhu. He is the ocean of mercy. Imagine you take one matchstick, it's ablaze, and you throw the matchstick into the ocean. Will the ocean evaporate? Will the ocean catch fire? Will the ocean get extinct? Will the ocean get dried up? No. We can throw the whole matchbox also into the ocean. But the voluminous content of the water is such that any amount of fire thrown in, it can absorb. And nothing can happen to the ocean. This is why Krishna is the ocean of mercy, which means any amount of fiery activities that we have performed in the form of sinful activities, offenses, any form of mistakes, they're all like small matchsticks. And Krishna's oceanic heart of mercy is such that he can absorb all of that. Therefore, the Shastra describes that one name of Vishnu, Narayana Nama Naro Naranam Prasiddha Chaura Kathita Prithivyam Aneka Janmarjita Papa Sancharam Haratya Shesham Shruti Matrameva. That the name of Narayana is so power potent, such a great thief, that he can take away more sins from the chanter than the chanter's ability to perform those sins. This is Karuna Sindhu. Very, very merciful. If someone touches fire, whoever it may be, Prabhupada would give this example, they will definitely be burnt. Because the vastu siddha avastha, the condition, the eternally perfected condition, the characteristic of that element is to burn. The nature of fire is to burn, independent of our mentality. If someone thinks the fire is very cold, now let me try to touch. The fire is still going to burn. Independent of what we think, the fire's nature is not going to change. Think about, electricity, an open live wire. Irrespective of whether we are PhD or we are a dropout, male or female child, middle age or old, male or female, whatever may be the condition, independent of our understanding of electric circuits, we touch the live wire and the nature of electricity is such that it will act. And it will give you the electrocuted effect. So when fire and electricity can act in their own siddha avastha, perfect manifestation of their nature, independent of the conditioning of the person approaching, what to speak of Krishna? Krishna knows only to uplift. That is all that he knows. He knows only to uplift. We give this example of sun. The sun evaporates a pool of good water also, and the sun evaporates a pool of bad water also. And when the bad water gets evaporated by the power of the sun, four things happen. First of all, the sun is equal to the good water, Ganga water, and let's say bad water, contaminated sewage water. First, the sun is equal. Second, when the water gets evaporated, no one knows where it has gone, where it has got evaporated, where it has got absorbed, we don't know. 3, the place becomes clean without any stink. And 4, that doesn't stick on the face of the sun. The sun remains as clean as himself. So these 4 characteristics, if they are there in a material sun, what to speak of Krishna, who is Yachakshuresha Savita Sakalagrahanam Raja Samastasura Murtirashesha Teja Yasyajnaya Brahmati Sambritakala Chakro Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajam. That sun and moon are the eyes of Krishna. So if the sun has that quality, what to speak of Krishna? So Krishna has these 4 qualities. It has been described. And the 4 qualities that we were mentioning with respect to the sun that Krishna has is 1, he is equal to everyone. Samoham sarva bhuteshu name dveshosti na priya ye bhajante tumam bhaktya maite teshu chapyaham. Bhagavad Gita. I am equal to everyone. Nobody is dear, I'm not inimical towards anyone. But those who love me, those who perform bhajan, I'm maite teshu chapyaham. I'm very dear to them, and they are very dear to me. So these 4 qualities of the sun are seen in Krishna, that he is equal to everyone. The sadhus who are like Ganga water and the fallen persons who are like sewage water. Second, when Krishna, the sun of Krishna's mercy, absorbs and evaporates the dirt of the sewage, no one knows how that sun does it. The sewage water does not go to the sun and say, please help me. He's somewhere and the sun is somewhere, but the sun still acts. This is how Krishna works. Krishna's in Goloka Vrindavan, but how? 10 years ago, we had few tendencies in our heart, let's say, to eat meat. But now we are preaching about no meat eating, for example. So how is it that sewage contamination got evaporated? Where did it go? Second point. Third point, just like that sewage pond, that pool has become clean without any stink, without any presence of sewage, the heart of the devotee becomes clean by performing bhajan. All good qualities arise in his heart. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavati akinchane sarvair gunais tatra samasate sura harava bhaktasya kuto mahat guna manorathena satidhavato bhi. 5th canto Bhagavatam describes those who do bhajan, all good qualities come. Those who don't do bhajan, they don't worship Sri Hari, all bad qualities will come. Krishna Surya Sama Maya Haya Andhakar Jaha Krishna Taha Nai Maya Radhikar. Krishna is like sun, Maya is like darkness. Wherever there's absence of bhakti, darkness will come. All bad qualities will come. So we don't know how this place has become cleaned. And fourth, these bad qualities that has been absorbed by Krishna, they don't go and influence Krishna. We give this example that when dal is spilt on the floor, you can take a, like an old banyan or something and you can clean. Sometimes in India, you see traditionally torn cloth they use for cleaning all this dal on the floor. So you can clean the dal on the floor, and the floor is clean, but the cloth has become dirty, right? So we may imagine that the cleaning agent becomes dirty, but the cleansed agent becomes clean. But however, we see here the devotee who's chanting the holy name, he is also pure, and Krishna remains pure. Arjuna says this in the Bhagavad Gita. Param Brahma Param Dhama Pavitram Paramam Bhavan Purusham Shashvatam Divyam Adidevam Ajam Vibhum Ahustva Rishayas Sarve Devarshi Naradastatha Asito Devalo Vyasa Swayam Chaiva Bhavishime. Not just me, Krishna, all these rishis have said that you are Paramam Pavitram. You are the abode of all purity. So for us to enter the abode of purity, we have to become pure. To enter fire, you have to become fire. But that purity comes by the mercy of that fire, that all pure personality. So this is as far as Krishna's Karuna Shakti is concerned. Then Rukmini talks about Krishna's wealth, Dravina Shakti, Krishna's Aishwarya Shakti, about his wealth. Glorifies that you are unparalleled as far as wealth is concerned. So it's interesting, Krishna has 16,108 wives, queens in Dwaraka, and each of the queens have 10 sons and 1 daughter. And each of the queens have 1 gold palace of their own. And Krishna is present with each wife, playing with the kids in each of the palace all at the same time. And from each palace, Krishna gives 13,000 cows in charity every day. This is given in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu with Prabhupada quotes in the Nectar of Devotion. You can read it about Krishna's charitable, magnanimous nature. Krishna gives out 13,000 cows from every palace every day. So you can do the math. 13,000 times 16,108. That is the number of cows Krishna gives out in charity every single day. It's a couple of crore at least. So I believe so. Yeah, depending on the number of zeros. And these are not cows which are like old, which don't give milk, which are weak, but these are all cows with calves, with give a lot of milk, and they have horns, all gold plated, with bags of gold coins hanging on them, and a gold cloth wrapped behind the cow. Very well decorated cow. 13,000 such cows from every palace every single day. Look how big Krishna's heart is, how soft Krishna's heart in charity is. When Krishna would play the flute in Vrindavan, sometimes the leaf would fall from the tree and the leaf would fall on Krishna's forearm. And when Krishna would remove the leaf, the impression of the leaf would be on Krishna's skin. So Krishna's skin is so soft that the leaf imprint is seen. If Krishna's skin is so soft, how soft is Krishna's body? And if Krishna's body is so soft, how soft is Krishna's heart? This is what Rukmini is saying. Krishna, you are very magnanimous. You give charity. You give charity. So that Lord of charity, he comes as Vaman Dev to beg charity from Bali Maharaj and gives Bali Maharaj the eternal credit. Danavendra Mahabali. Even now, when you give something in charity, the Purohit, the Pandit will tie, sacred thread in around your wrist. Will say Danavendra Mahabali. Oh, you're donating like the great donor Bali. So Rukmini speaks about that also. Then Rukmini speaks about Krishna's Rupa Saundarya also. Krishna's beautiful, unparalleled beauty. In the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, Rupa Goswami talks about Asama Urdhva Rupa Shri Vismapita Characharam. That Krishna, your Rupa Madhuri, your form is intoxicating. The form is such that Asama Urdhva. Sama means equal, and Urdhva means higher, and Asama means not equal, or to speak of higher than. So there is no one equal or higher than Asama Urdhva Rupa Shri. Krishna's form is such that there's no one equal or greater than that form. Krishna's form is the most beautiful form ever to be seen. Vismapita, it astonishes. Characharam, moving and non-moving. Krishna's form can make moving into non-moving and non-moving into moving. What does that mean? When someone sees Krishna's form, the moving who are seeing Krishna's form, they get stunned and they are non-moving. And then looking at Krishna's form, the non-moving stones, they start moving. Yamuna flows backwards by seeing Krishna's form and hearing his flute sound. So this is Krishna's Rupa Saundaryam. Krishna's Rupa Madhuri. There are stories where even Narayana from Vaikuntha, he aspires to have darshan of Sri Krishna. The eternal goddess of fortune, Lakshmi Devi, she gives up Vaikuntha and does bhajan in Belwan to enter the Rasalila and sing and dance and hear the flute sound of Sri Krishna. Krishna's beauty is such that it intoxicates everyone around. Madhuram Madhuram Vapurasya Vibho, Madhuram Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram, Madhugandhi Mridusmitam Etadaho, Madhuram 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 Madhuram. Bilva Mangala Thakur says, the sweetness found in this world is one Madhuram. But Krishna's form, Madhuram Madhuram Vapurasya Vibho. Krishna's form, two Madhurams, very sweet. But in that form, the face, Madhuram Madhuram Vapurasya Vibho, Madhuram Madhuram Vadanam Madhuram. Three Madhurams for the face. One Madhuram for some sweetness in this world. Two Madhurams for Krishna's form. Three Madhurams for the face. And four Madhurams for the beautiful smile on that face. Madhu Gandhi Mridhu Smitam Etadaho. The Mridhu Smitam, the soft half smile that Krishna has. That is Madhu Gandhi. Madhu Gandhi means the smell of honey and intoxicating fragrance of kumkum and camphor and musk and chandan. All of this mixed with aguru and the smell coming from the central part, the whirl of the blue lotus flowers in the forest at night, on a full moon night. What fragrance comes from the forest of a blue lotus, in the whirl of that lotus, all of these fragrances put together is the fragrance that comes from Krishna's mouth. We can try to compare with what comes from our mouth when we wake up in the morning. Even after brushing, what comes from our mouth is disgusting. Human mouth is the most dirtiest mouth. Human bite is the most dangerous bite, most dirtiest bite, even compared to the bite of dogs and cats. This is what one devotee friend of mine told me, and I trust him on that. But Krishna's mouth is not like that. Krishna's mouth is intoxicating. So Bilva Mangala Thakur says, Madhu Gandhi, Gandha, the aroma, the fragrance of Madhu, which means honey. Madhu Gandhi Mridhu Smitam. Smita means smile and Mridhu means soft. That's lips. Krishna's smile is soft smile with intoxicating fragrance. And he uses the word aho, which means, intoxicating. Madhu Gandhi Mridhu Smitam Etad Aho. Oh, this is intoxicating. Madhuram, 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 Madhuram. That's the last line of the verse. This verse is found in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, quoted from Bilva Mangala Thakur. Also, there is another verse for Krishna's beauty. Madhura Madara Bimbe Manjulam Mandahase Shishiram Amritanade Shitalam Drishtipate Vipulam Aruna Netre Vishrutam Venunade Marakata Mani Neelam Balamalokayenu. How is Krishna's form? Madhuram Adara Bimbe. Krishna's lips are very sweet and they are like reddish like a bimba fruit. Madhuram Adara Bimbe Manjulam Mandahase. And Krishna's smile is Manjulam, sweet, and Manda, lazy and soft. Manjulam Mandahase Shishiram Amritanade. Krishna's speech is like the blow of fresh cold breeze during a summer afternoon. It feels so good when he speaks. Shishiram Amritanade Shitalam Drishtipate. When Krishna glances, it's like moonbeams of comfort. Shitalam, cooling, relaxing, rejuvenating glances. Shitalam Drishtipate Vipulam Aruna Netre. Krishna's Vipulam Aruna Netre. Vipulam means wide and Arunam means reddish. And Netra means eyes. Hare Krishna, Mataji, please kindly mute your mic. We can hear what you're speaking. That was a joke. We can hear all the domestic talks. We can't hear you. It was just a joke. Vipulam Aruna Netre. Bilvamangal Thakur says Krishna's eyes are Vipulam. They are wide. And Aruna, they are reddish. And Netra means eyes. Vipulam Aruna Netre. Vishrutam Venunade. And Vishrutam, he is very famously known in Vrindavan as Venunad, as the player of the flute. And how is his form? Marakata Mani Neelam. It is like a effulgent Ujjwala Neelamani, blue sapphire stone. Balamaloka Yenu. When will I see that Krishna with my eyes? Bilva Mangala Thakur, who was Netrahin, he didn't have eyes, he didn't have vision. He's writing this and saying, Balamaloka Yenu. When will I be fortunate to see that Krishna? How beautiful is that? So this is Krishna's Rupa Saundarya. So these are the 5 qualities. Just to quickly recap, we spoke about Krishna's Vidya, we spoke about Krishna's Virya, we spoke about Krishna's Saundarya, Karuna and Vayas, and Dravina, 6 we spoke. And last time we spoke about Krishna's Kula, Krishna's aristocratic family. And we spoke in that regard about how Chandra Vamsha, the lunar dynasty, has great kings like Shibi Chakravarti, who has sacrificed so much. That story was discussed last time. And also last time we spoke about Sheela, Krishna's first class character. And we gave the example in the Rajasuya Yajna, how Krishna being Supreme Lord, he had the first class humble character of serving by washing the lotus feet of the visiting guests of Yudhishthira Maharaj. Another example we spoke about was Muchukunda Maharaj asking Krishna that who are you? And Krishna, instead of saying, I lifted Govardhan, I danced on the hoods of Kaliya, I am God, he just said, I am the son of Vasudev, I am Vasudev Sri Krishna. And we also said about character, that Ramachandra, who was supposed to become king, overnight he was ousted and he absolutely had no problem about it. So in this way, many examples were spoken last time. So all inclusively, we see multiple qualities of Krishna have been described in this one verse of Rukmini. And by hearing these verses and reading these verses, may we also develop affection for these qualities of Krishna. And just like Rukmini heard about Krishna and Krishna came and helped her, may we also hear about Krishna, develop that affection for Krishna, in feeling distance in our heart. And may Krishna come and kidnap our consciousness before we give our consciousness to the Shishupal of Maya Shakti. Thank you so much. I stop here. We have some time. If there are any questions or comments, we can kindly take them.